Hi, nice to be with you again. Those of you who've been following me for the past couple of weeks or so may notice that in the last couple of days I've changed from having t-shirts or other short sleeve shirts to yesterday and today having either a long sleeve shirt or today a sweatshirt. Uh, it seems like winter is coming back to the Philadelphia area. Hopefully not for long, but it's kind of cool out there. Been rainy. Still not going to deter me from taking my walk later. But in the midst of this, I've been thinking about COVID-19, the pandemic that none of us expected, none of us hope to ever really have to go through again. Uh, but it's very important as we deal with it to think back in terms of how we've been able to actively confront it. Hopefully the worst is behind us and hopefully we won't endure it again. But we also have made certain kinds of changes in our own lives, and I would hope that we can continue to think in those terms. So I'd be interested in hearing what changes you've made. I may get the ball rolling by just mentioning a few things from my own life. Again, it's a lousy way to have to implement these, but I did implement them and I've benefited from them. One is the whole notion of reading. For a long time, I was really into reading. It's always been a favorite hobby of mine. And when I lived in the suburbs, I had about a half hour commute on the train. So going back and forth into Center City was my reading time. When I moved to a building that's 8 minutes walk from my office, and during COVID is a 0 minutes walk from my office, that reading time kind of fell by the wayside and it became much more haphazard. Having this time, however, enabled me to implement a real reading time, kind of a protocol that I try to follow every day. And by doing so, it's widened my world, uh, given me greater sense of enjoyment, and also I'm reading a little faster now just because I do more of it. So reading is one of the things one of the habits that I've learned during the pandemic that I plan to have endure as we go forward. Another, as I kind of implied earlier, is my walk. I regularly went to the gym before the pandemic, 3 or 4 days a week. But the other days were like off days for me. I didn't pay much attention to whether I took walks or not. But this is something that I felt was really necessary, both, to get out there and be part of nature. And also, I'm not immune to what many of us found that it's easier to put on weight if you don't do a whole lot of physical exertion. So while I try and do other things at home, including using cables as an alternative to weights and doing various other kinds of exercises, a 45-minute walk each day is something that I've been able to fit in without compromising other activities and feeling a whole lot better for it. I encourage it to everybody, and certainly people don't have to be limited by 45 minutes. The other change that I made is that although I've been active on social media and have been running my podcast pretty much continuously for a couple of years, I kind of slacked off on some of the other things that I was doing to share my ideas with the world. I'm very passionate about positive psychology, my own spin on it that I call goal achieving psychology, and rejuvenating the art and science of growing older with enthusiasm. But I got a little bit lazy about sending out newsletters to my mailing list, as those who are on there will verify. Didn't always keep up on social media as much as I should, and I can still improve in that area. But if I feel passionate about these things, and I really do, then I really am obligated to share it with the rest of the world. And I've been doing it much more effectively, I think, and certainly in terms of quantity, at least in the last several weeks. So those of you who haven't signed up for the free newsletter by joining the Mental Health Gym, I'm obviously a little biased about this, but I encourage you to do so because I think it's a great source of information and keeps you posted on all the things that we're doing. And of course, being live with videos, I think helps to expand that reach and spread the word. So those are some things that I've done. Really interested in hearing what you've done. What kinds of things have you made behavior changes that will endure beyond the pandemic? Again, it was a lousy way to have this stuff start in the first place. Hopefully, all indications are that the worst is behind us and we can anticipate a normal, relatively normal summer and normal rest of the year. And hopefully we don't have to go through it again, but hopefully we can maintain and retain some of the habits that got us to this point. And on that note, I just hope I'll hear some shares from you about it, and I will try and share any other information that I think of that can be helpful going forward. I know that some of you learn technology, learn how to stay in touch with people who you otherwise would not have been able to, and I know that there's a ton of other learnings that took place. Let's try and make the best of it and retain the gains that we made, that we were forced into making. Till next time, then, this is Dr. Ron Kaiser signing off.